In SARS, the Manage Criteria feature allows you to create and edit scoring rubrics to be used primarily when grading essay items. Saved criteria can be applied to all items which have an option to add a rubric or some form of specific grading. Designing your rubric will become easier as you understand what each term in SARS means and as you watch the example that will be shown. Let's design a rubric now. You'll find Manage Criteria under the Content Management drop-down at the top of the screen. Click the link and you'll be brought to the Manage Criteria page, where you can view all existing rubrics. You can also tell if a rubric is currently being used in any items already by looking at the column labeled Used or Unused and checking the icons. To add a new rubric, click the Add Criteria link located at the top right corner of the screen. A small window will pop up with prompts to name your criteria and attach a brief description for reference. Both fields are required to create a new rubric. Click the Save button to add your rubric to the list. Once you've successfully added your rubric, you may specify how it breaks down. Click the View link next to your rubric to assign point values. Clicking the Edit link will only allow you to change the name and description of the rubric. After clicking View, you should see the rubric at the bottom of the page. You begin to assign point values by adding a main criteria slot. Every rubric will need at least one main criteria slot, and you create this by clicking the Add Main Criteria button located here, filling out the required name and description fields, and clicking the Update button. You will not assign a score directly to a main criteria entry because the score value of all main criteria are comprised of the total score values of their sub-criteria. In other words, your main criteria will all require at least one sub-criteria to hold a score value. Knowing this will help you give your main criteria an appropriate name. To create your sub-criteria, click the blue View link next to the main criteria and you will see your main criteria expand at the bottom of the screen. You can now click on the Add Sub-Criteria button located here. Fill in the name, details, and score fields, then click the Save button to add your sub-criteria to the list. You may add as many sub-criteria as needed under your main criteria. Remember that your sub-criteria score values will total up and be reflected in your main criteria. You can easily see the maximum score of your rubric by adding the values of your main criteria. If you need to remove a main or a sub-criteria, check the box to the left of it and click either the Delete Main Criteria or Delete Sub-Criteria button. When you're done adding all of your criteria, your rubric is complete and ready to be used on any item where it can be implemented. The rubric is saved as you build it, so you may safely leave this screen and return and click on the View link next to your rubric to expand it and edit it again if necessary. Congratulations on completing your rubric.